Mate, it's a nice pot of tea, Ma. I've done the washing up and all.
Thanks.
Look, about earlier, I was out of order. Just that I worry about my family. I'm sorry, yeah?
Nick Cotton will forever go down in history as the very first and most likely most evil villain to ever grace Walford, as a character who is pure evil with absolutely no redeeming qualities about him. So, how did Nick become like this? And was it all down to his upbringing?
See these, mate? 5p cheaper than yours, down the market.
Nick is the son of Dot and Charlie Cotton. He has never gotten on with his father, who was mostly absent during his upbringing, and his doting mother tried to cover her sham marriage and happiness from everyone around her.
I got a big surprise for you.
I can see this is going to be a really good time for us. Just me and you.
Yes. Oh, Nick. This is your father. Charlie, this is your son. You know, Nick.
Welcome home, son.
Nick Cotton can do no wrong in his mother's eyes, but we all know this isn't really the case. Nick was the one responsible for killing off Reg Cox, the first ever murder in the show, and was seen continually on and off our screens with a new evil plan every single time.
Doing all right then?
Hey?
Flash.
None of your business.
Look, I'm not asking for anything.
It's just as well, because you wouldn't get it anyway.
I'm just glad to see you doing well, that's all.
Oh, yeah?
You're my only son, ain't you?
Huh. So you noticed? I mean, you've always had this strange amnesia where I'm concerned. You've done a run on the moment I was born.
He would come back into Dot's life every time he hears of an opportunity to scam her out of money, and this was no exception when she won £10,000 and he brought it upon himself to try and poison her and get rid of his ma for good. He started this by lying about being a Christian, but in the end, even evil Nick Cotton couldn't quite go through with killing his mum off for good.
So what you playing at, eh?
What, playing that?
Yeah. All this Christmas card bunk. Playing on my conscience. Trying to make me feel guilty. Well, I don't, see. It's a bloody hard world, Ma. And it's been harder for me than most, I'm telling you. There's nothing you wouldn't do for me, is there, Ma? Is there? Die for me if the need came, would you?
Over the years, he would continue to make his way back into Walford with his catchphrase of "Hello, Ma," that would bring a cold chill over even the hardest of men. He would return with a heroin overdose and drinking problems, and in 1991 he would eventually take his second victim of the pub landlord Eddie Royal, although of course he got away with this one too.
Please answer the following question either yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you are all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the defendant, Nicholas Charles Cotton, guilty or not guilty of murder?
Not guilty.
But his life wasn't all doom and gloom. He did eventually find a partner and had a son, Ashley, and later he also had a daughter who he so famously nicknamed Dottie.
I only printed this off so I could show my girl what you look like.
Your girl? What would she want to know what I look like for?
Well, I didn't want to bring her straight in until I knew how you'd react to me.
Yeah, well, now you know, don't you? You know what my reaction is. Now get out.
Ma?
Oh, just go, Nick.
Come here, darling. This is Dottie. This is your granddaughter.
Hello, Grandma.
Another one of Nick's victims ended up being his very own son, Ashley, as a plan of his goes terribly wrong and Ashley dies by driving straight into the laundrette, where his grandmother Dot works. and also Emma Summerhays, who gets hit by a car because once again Nick had tampered with the brakes and she tragically dies. Nick's short life comes to an early end when he is found back on heroin and asking his ma for one more favour. Dot eventually agrees to help Nick die, even while struggling with her own Christian beliefs, in the exact same room where he killed Reg Cox all those years ago.
I ain't called the ambulance. No, I prayed to let Jesus decide whether you'd get better or whether the world was a better place without you.
And finally, the end of Nasty Nick's terror is over, 30 years after he took the life of his very first victim, and his mother Dot is finally free of him.
See you in the morning.